You're watching the Chaos Protocol on Transplanar RPG, an all-transgender, people-of-color-led dark fantasy TTRPG show set in an original non-colonial, anti-Orientalist multiverse. If you like what you see, please consider pledging to our Patreon to support the show and get access to a patron-only after-show, early podcast episodes, GM notes, character sheets, and even the chance for your tabletop OC to cameo in our series. Thank you so much for watching, and enjoy. The Chaos Protocol is a dark fantasy series that may contain content that is triggering for some viewers. Content warnings for this episode include trauma, complex relationships, nightmares, visions, death of loved ones, ghosts, heights, and references to alcohol and divine cannibalism. Arc 2, Episode 22, A Shrouded Gourd, from Carved Inside an Empty Urn by Connie Chong. There are no doors. There are no windows. There are no walls, no ceiling, not even a floor. Your feet rest on something solid, but it is not the ground. It simply is. Darkness stretches in every direction, endless, vast, all-consuming. Darkness and, of course, the scrolls. Vertical banners dangling from an infinite abyss above your heads, each as wide as a person's shoulders, terminating a few inches above the not ground. Each scroll is made of a different color, a different material, even. Some are rich, brocaded, patterned, still others are stitched from plain cloth, dyed in simple hues, and still others are metallic, or gem-like, or ablaze with pure flame. The scrolls are as unique as the calligraphy that marks each of them, and you recognize this calligraphy instantly. Names. The names of every single person you've ever known. And by you, I do not mean Lumièra. I do not mean Xainan. I do not mean Xiaocheng. I mean Seir, and I mean the Sage. The two of you, and the two of you alone, stand in this forest of names.
Nova! Seir pans around looking for Strike Team Nova. He hunkers down onto the ground, realizing it's solid, but it's not dirt, it's not ground, and he's attempting to hunt, attempting to track, center himself again in his teacher's teachings. Find the path, find the tracking, and now the path is the names, and Seir's looking around and turns over to the sage. What's the meaning of this? What are all
your
these
guess
names?
is as good of mine. You okay? You okay, Sonny? It's just you and me.
Fine.
You need something to drink? I got some of that goose juice.
No, I'm fine. No, I need to get back to my team. We don't know where they are or what they're going through, and I need to be with them. I must be with them. I need to protect them.
Between you and me, I think that's very kind of you to be worried about them, but I think you need to worry about yourself a little more. This isn't some wisdom, this is just, you really should, they're probably gonna be doing just fine without you. No offense.
Seir purses his lips. It looks like he's biting the inside of his mouth.
That's
and
okay. You're
mumbles.
Very handsome. Very handsome.
This man does not know how to take a compliment. You see immediately color flash across his cheeks, and he immediately clears his throat. No, you're right. We must focus on the here and now.
Do you recognize any of these names? Do I recognize any of these names?
Yes and yes. Seir, let's start with you. As your eyes fall across this forest of names, you see calligraphy that rings within you. You see Lumièra's name. On a vertical scroll, you see Xainan's name. On a vertical scroll, Lumièra. What material is your scroll made of?
If you thought it was anything other than gold, you were so mistaken. It is pure gold with white, beautiful, flourishing calligraphy.
Mm. And what of you, Xainan?
Xainan's is made of white, not completely white, but white rice paper. And the writing on it is beautifully done calligraphy.
Mm. Seir, you recognize other names as well. You see Artemis's name on a scroll. The scroll is made of animal hide, with ink dabbed in pure moonlight. You see Wuyen's name on a scroll of polished jade, just like the blade of his guandao. You see Lucy's scroll, ablaze with pure magenta fire. You see Kove's scroll with plain parchment, but shining black ink like the metal of her armor. You see Abasi's name on a scroll made of colorful feathers from the highest peaks of the Raya. You see Amergen's scroll, teal dragon scales and dense tree bark, even a scroll for Fate herself, made of pure red thread stitched together so densely you cannot tell where one string ends and another begins.
Thayer looks through all of these names and his face moves with various emotions from clear love and care to um, just a sheer dislike to longing and hope and then reverence finally with Fate's name as he averts his gaze as if looking to the face of God, the face of a creator, and he dare not look any further. Yeah, I know these names. They're people in my life.
That was a whole journey that happened right there. What's the deal with you and the serious one?
Fate?
No.
They're...
No. The other one that had the goose juice. I like her.
Oh, Lumièra. We're childhood friends. And he says that and the way he says Lumièra's name, it's like a prayer. Like a sentence from a holy book. He says it with such love and reverence. We're childhood friends. I've known her all my life.
Well, it's good to have friends.
Yeah. And
Hop Ching,
she's...
speaking of friends, you see names that you recognize as well, and I would like to ask you, what names in this forest of scrolls haunt you?
You know, it's more so that there's like a lot of blank ones. There's just, there's a lot of them I don't quite, or there's ones that I don't quite, remember them, or maybe I just don't know the characters, I guess. I just never really... Yeah, not a whole lot that I actually recognize here. They seem like maybe I might have, some of them maybe ring a bell, but no, I don't really know. I don't really know many of these.
Hop Ching, you look around, you see names you don't recognize, scrolls that belong to Seir, your companion here in the forest. You also see blank scrolls that tug at something behind your belly buttons. Names of people you've forgotten. It's been so long, you've been alive so long, you can't remember their names. You can barely remember their faces, their smells. There are also names... Go ahead.
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, I don't even know. Like, even when it was like maybe a year or 20 years, you know, since seeing them, I still couldn't really tell you who they were.
So I think for you, you see a lot of blank scrolls that, compared to the sheer density of names Seir's has, instills within you a sense of isolation. A sense of being at the peak of Tiandu Shrine and there being no one, nothing but Misty, and even Misty can't really talk like people can talk. And Seir, As your eyes land on these scrolls, the ones closest to you, the ink of the calligraphy of their names begins to swirl. They swirl upon being observed, and they form silhouettes and then likenesses of the people that the names are attached to. You see Xainan, his silhouette with the hat and the cloak. You see Lumièra with the robe and the golden pocket watch. And their eyes, Seir, are not theirs. They're yours. You see blue eyes looking out from Xainan's face, blue eyes looking out from Lumièra's face, and the expression in these eyes that are not theirs but yours are those of rejection, of hatred, of fear.
What's the meaning of this? Another illusory trick? Just like
Yeah.
Goose in the hall?
Most likely. What you feeling? Seems like it's making you feel a kind of way.
Seir just growls. It's an animal-like growl that sits underneath the chest. I don't like being toyed with. And he kind of just like steps forward as he's like facing these eyes. He's putting on such a brave front, but you can see his steps are hindered and buckled, and he's trying to find a path to weave past these illusions, because as far as he's concerned, these are just illusions, images, nothing else.
Whoa. Well, why might they have your eyes? They're very nice eyes, you know. So pretty.
You'd be the one of the few people who think that, he says indignantly, and as he looks at Xainan and Lumièra with his own eyes. I don't know. To unsettle me, because I know that's not their eyes. To hunt the fear inside me, corner me like some prey.
Ching,
A
that's
trick.
not quite it. You have always been attuned to the mist. You have always seen what other people could not due to your connection to Misty. That's not the case here. You see the eyes of this companion next to you reflected in these silhouettes of Lumièra, of Xainan, now even of Artemis's silhouette whisking into reality, Wu Yin's, Lucy's, all with Seir's eyes. And you feel a pang within yourself. It's a projection. It's Seir's own eyes reflecting negative emotion back at him. These are all emotions he feels toward himself that he's placing in the faces of those he loves.
Well, listen, son. You know, I'm tough on you, but that's
It's alright. We
that's
just
not-
met.
Well, I know, and I was about to say, you know, that doesn't make you special. Like, I'm kind of tough on everyone, because I feel like people just don't take the time, you know, to see what's around them and to think things through and to make the kind of connections that I think that it really would serve them. You know, before I left down there in the city, those gods, you know, as I said, even before the evening, it was they all had their own squabbles and their conflicts, and that's just how things were. But I think that their stubbornness and that their inability to grow and change and, you know, really be honest with themselves and others is kind of what led to that rough time.
As Ching speaks, Seir, you notice that their scrolls begin to swirl as well, even the blank ones. Ink dribbles in like blood falling into an unmoored pond. And you see the silhouettes of gods, Ching. Gods that you once knew, some gods you've forgotten, some gods you have not remembered until this very moment. Oh, yeah, there was that elder god that you had a squabble with over what the best brand of wine was. Oh, there was that god that you thought you might have some sort of situationship going on, but then she met someone else, and that didn't really work out, and there
That one owes me money!
that one owes you money! That one you owe money to. Oof.
Ugh.
And then kind of at the very back of this forest, glimmering like the last spot of sunshine through a darkened weald, you see the outline of the Emperor. Against a scroll made of pure purple jade, the ink of a bright silver. The Emperor, a woman you once loved? A woman you've not seen in many years, in centuries, maybe even in a millennia. And Seir, the faces of these gods don't have their own eyes either. They have Ching's. And Ching, there is a bladed emotion within the eyes that are your own, looking out through these faces you once knew. What projected emotion of yours do you see in their expressions?
There's a little bit of a disdain and impatience, and it almost, they sort of glide right over me, like I'm not good enough. And well, that's fair, if they're judging me, I'm judging them, so listen
Seir.
here, son. Listen here, son. My point is that you're hard enough on yourself, just the way that I am. I hold myself to a certain standard, and you don't have to worry about what the others think about you. I feel like you're probably your own roughest critic. And, life's too short for you to spend too much time on that.
And Seir's lost for words for a moment before his eyes kind of like trail past all of the images behind you. And his bright blue eyes focused on you, great sage. And he just says so weakly, "But I have to. I am molded, built to be protector. I was molded, built with my..." And he hesitates. "My sister. We were to be together. And I failed her. I can't be true to myself. There's no space for that. If I don't hold up Nova, if I don't hold up all of us, then I can't fail them again. There's no space for me in all of this. It can't be."
I mean, you gotta feed and hydrate yourself before you feed and hydrate others. Are you doing that? That's part of your duties too.
And Seir feels this kind of rising emotion. I think you see his chest buckle a little bit as he clasps his hand on his tattooed side of his chest, this bright, dark tattoo of a moon or a sun. And he touches it and traces his fingers along the ink. I failed her. My sister. If I feel all of this, and he looks at all of the eyes, Xainan, Lumièra's, Wu Ming, Artemis, those eyes that yell out failure, that yell out traitor, mistake. And he feels himself kind of like shrinking like a cornered animal. I can't.
Oh, rubbish. Oh, stop it. I am teasing you because I teased you because I felt like you could take it,
Ching, as you try to calm down Seir and give him a pep talk, this is Seir's trial. This much is becoming obvious to you as the seconds tick by, turn into minutes, and as Seir starts to shrink in like a cornered animal, even as you try to reach out to him, there's a noise like wind chimes, as a breeze comes through the forest, you all see the scrolls drifting like algae in bloom under the tides of the ocean. They make a resonant noise as they clink against each other, and then they discorporate and they swirl. A multitude of colors, a coalescence of magic, and then reform in front of Seir, next to you, Ching. A vanity. Seir, you recognize this vanity instantly. It belonged to your twin. It is full of gifts Sing often didn't use. Colorful makeup, golden jewelry, a beloved cudgel pen, and most prominently, a mirror. A polished, shining mirror you can't hide from, and inside of it, a reflection of her. Ching, you see a mane of white hair, you see fateful pink eyes, you see a deep, weeping frown, and then all of that disappears, and for the first time since entering this trial, Seir, you see yourself. Except, your reflection is weeping. Both of your reflections are weeping. Ching, the river gourd has not spared you from this trial either. Next to this vanity, you see a scroll made of a material that perfectly encapsulates your soul. What's it made of?
It's the wind. It's not clear anything. The wind is the thing that really, is part of the mist, but not. Misty and I, of course, have a very close relationship, but I'm not a part of her. I'm not up to this point, I've sort of resisted the call. Not resisted, not like the other gods. It just wasn't my call, so to speak. I'm not of the same stuff, but right there with it, interacting very close way.
Ching, your windborne scroll bears a swirling, gale-like calligraphy, as though it were made up of a bunch of different feathers, heron feathers. It bears the calligraphy of your name. And the ink of these feathers, it swirls to form yourself. Not just a depiction of yourself, but a actual reflection, as though the surface of this wind were a mirror. Just like Seir, you see yourself standing in the midst of the forest of names, and just like Seir's reflection, yours is also weeping. Seir, inside the mirror of this vanity, your reflection moves. He lowers his head. His antlers curve in on themselves like knives pointed inward. Their karta is wrinkled. Their kajal is smeared, running down their cheeks in thick rivulets of inky black. They are disheveled. They are disassembled. They are so small. He is weeping, and you can hear it, those soul-racking sobs vibrating through the glass of the mirror, and he is saying, my brother, why have you forsaken me?
And Seir lets out a weak sob at his throat. A part of himself he's denied. Seir the brother. Seir the protector, shelved forward only to imprison the brother. The one who weeps and begs for his sister again. No. You're here. It's all right. I miss her too. I miss her. I miss her so much.
Why do you hide me? Why do you hide us beneath her smile? She's gone. And in that same gesture that you used to hide her, you are losing me. You are losing us.
Because I miss her. Because if I don't see her face, then what is the point? What is my point? I am made with her, together with her. We were to walk together. I am a brother, but what's a brother without a sister? Without a
Look
sister.
at me. Look at me. You are not carrying her memory by wearing her mask. You are abandoning it. Because you and I, we both know deep down that the real Sing would never have let you get away with hiding who you are. So look me in the eyes, grieving brother, or we will both be lost.
And Seir freezes for a moment, the tears streaming down his face, his own cudgel fading and smudging. I miss her so much. I just want my sister back. I just wanted her back.
As the tears pour from your eyes, Seir, they are as warm and as true as blood. Ching, as your companion weeps and his reflection weeps, a movement in the reflective surface of your own scroll catches your attention. You see yourself crying. This old man with the long beard and a half-cocked smile, and yet his eyes are welling with tears, and they are spilling past his cheeks, and they are turning his beard as damp and wet as a summer torrent. Why is he crying, Ching?
Well, there's not a whole lot to cry about, but at the same time, there are some things that I'm sure he regrets. I think that, maybe if I had reached out a little more and been a little more patient with the other old fuddy-duddies down in the city, they could have also, could have worked on them, and they didn't have to, eat each other alive. A real shame that I just didn't have time to deal with all of them and their insecurities and their fears about what happened when the mist called them. They may not have had my relationship with Misty, but perhaps they could have got to know them better. And I do kind of regret that.
And that hurts, is what your reflection says to you, never breaking eye contact. That hurts me. Hurts you. Up here, those other fuddy-duddies, they're always caught up in their own politics and whatnot, and the great evening, look at what they did without us. But it still hurts. Still hurts. Can we really keep living like this?
Well, when Misty decides it's time to call me home, I'm not gonna resist it. That's what
Don't
caused
you think
all of that.
Misty's sad too, that we're like this?
Well, I feel like she would have said something.
Maybe
still pretty early
she's
on
been
and
trying. Maybe she's been trying, but have we been listening?
both know we're not very good at that, but
No, hearing's going with the years and the age.
we're pretty good at seeing, I'd say.
We are pretty good at seeing. So, see, Ching. Look. Look at me. Tell me what you see.
Well, I see an old fuddy-duddy that's starting to get real set in their ways.
Right back at you. But maybe if the mist hasn't given us our call yet, maybe it's not too late to look at the fact that we're both still in pain.
Yeah, well, these youngins have come by, I think, and we can loop them in on all this and maybe tell them some of the things that we didn't take the time to tell the rest of those gods. I think
Yes.
they could do something with it.
Yes, I think so too.
All right, now to stop your crying. Here, and
Will
I
you
pull
stop
out
your
from my
crying?
beard. I pull out a handkerchief or something. Come on,
You too.
I don't like seeing you like
fuddy-duddy.
this.
I don't like seeing you like this.
Ah.
2 elephant nose blows ring
Yeah.
out through the forest of names, and that racks you out of your reverie, Seir.
As Seir reaches out to the other self, he just kind of like, I overhear the rest of the two sages talking at each other.
Oh yeah.
And as Seir like reaches his fingers out into the pool of the mirror and like plays with the tresses of other Seir's hair and pulls him close to touch his forehead. I miss you, brother. And as he like slowly embraces that face, that self of his, and remembers that love for his sister, he smiles for a moment and says, "You know what, old man, I'm pretty stubborn too. So maybe the young'uns and the old fuddy-duddies have a lot more in common than you think, huh?"
Well said. Well said. Maybe you're more than just a pretty face.
And Seir turns around to you and you see that weeping face that was in the mirror now reflected on his own, the smeared cudgel down his face. And the pain and grief just so evident in his eyes, but he's smiling at you. If you say that I'm pretty, then maybe I'll believe it. I mean, you must have seen lots of pretty ones in your time, right, old man?
Oh yeah, city of gods, like city of godlike, faces is more like it. But yeah, they also didn't have a whole lot going on behind the faces, if you take my meaning. Well, all that's past now.
Also, saying something about me, man?
I wouldn't, not in any terms that you'd understand. Listen, and I'm also sorry about your sister. It's important that we keep, their memories alive, the ones that have gone on, but also, it's also a natural thing. Even gods go away. Oblivion and salvation, It's not a bad thing. It's like going home. So don't you grieve about that. You just take care of you. And then you can take care of your friends.
Seir nods and he thinks about the face of his bright-eyed, smiling sister in his mind's eye. And there's a sad smile that shadows Seir's face. You're right. She didn't want to see me like this.
Well, I'm sure she'd be okay if you had to be for a little bit, but I'm sure she wouldn't want you like this all the time. Or even worse, having that all the time and then, not showing that face.
Looks like you're a pretty great sage yourself, huh? Legends were true after all. You're not just a fuddy-duddy that sits at the top of Tiandu Mountain.
I'm a fuddy-duddy that sits at the top of the mountain and is apparently pretty great.
As the last of your words ring out in this forest of names, we see both of your tears on the real you, not your reflections. They travel to the bottoms of your cheeks, they fall to the ground, and as soon as they hit this not floor, this pure plate of shadow, mist rises in opulent white seedlings, sprouting up past your shins, up to your necks, up to your heads, and whoosh, whisks you away to the next trial. Ching. An ocean of mist tumbles in every direction. It is a roiling blanket of fog. It is a seething mass of clouds. It washes against your ankles in cold, wet waves like the tide rolling in after a long season of drought. All you see around you is ankle-deep mist, endlessly spooling. Mist and a pair of shrines. They rise up out of the fog like obelisks, like mountain peaks. One of them is yours, Lumièra. It is made of clockwork gears inside a glass case with brass cogs wicking in perfect synchronicity, like the inner workings of a watch. The other shrine is yours, Ching. It is made of mist. Pure mist with strands of shadow and wind and just a breeze of regret weaving throughout the magic. Each of these shrines contains an altar with a stone statue which depicts your ambitions, your callings. Lumièra, for you that statue is the Drifter. That vaguely humanoid, flickering, trapped in static outline which wields time magic so deftly, so masterfully, so willfully, in a way you still can't quite comprehend. Its abilities are everything you seek to attain so you can do what needs to be done, so what happens in the wild sea never happens again. On your altar, Ching, you see a statue of Tiandu Peak. You see miniature little slabs of granite, even a small flock of white birds carved from stone, each the size of a grain of rice. You see that remote mountain summit where you can always be alone, waiting in solitude, waiting in seclusion, waiting for those worthy and smart and not so fuddy-duddy to come up to you and start building this community you've always sought, might learn to care about you, might learn to know you, might learn to see your loneliness. A magical barrier made of mist hums in front of both of your statues. You haven't yet reached your goals. You haven't yet finished your work, either of you. You haven't yet achieved the success you seek because you haven't paid the proper price. But now, you can. An offering bowl sits in front of each altar, a brass dish that beckons you, a scale. Balance it correctly, and you'll unlock that barrier and get everything you want. Ching and Lumièra, the two of you and the two of you alone, stand before the scales of sacrifice.
Are you good at math? I think we gotta balance these scales, and it's like one of those things where, like, if you have a bunch of little things that are equal to my big thing, or they're all at different. So there might be or maybe math's not involved at all. What do you think?
I have the utmost capability in my intellect. So, if these scales work the way scales typically do work, then you were correct in your first assumption. Many things to equal one big thing, or vice versa.
Well, let's see what I got here.
Ching and Lumièra, the two of you observe the altar, the statues, the scale, and both of you notice that there's already stuff inside the bowls. This is the cost you've already tithed in search of your goal. Lumièra, there is liquid gold in your dish. And you know instantly how much it weighs. It weighs 8 years. 8 years of your life already wasted, already carelessly tithed to a power you don't fully understand. As for you, Ching, what price have you already paid for this seclusion?
Well, I think there's a lot of little figurines. The tiny little gods, all made out of different kinds of stone, or wood, or natural materials, or even metal ones, for the really fancy ones. And, I gave up a lot of those, and some of them were quite easy, but others, not as much. But I always could make up different reasons why it was okay.
People, connection, a community. That's the price you've already paid in search of a better home. And yet years have passed and no better home has come. No other god has followed. Lumièra and Ching, how do the two of you tackle this trial?
All right, so I'm gonna call out some numbers here, and then you can do the balancing. All right. So yours, I'd say there's about 50 gods here, of the ones that are more or less important. I don't know if you do the arithmetic in your head of some
I'm
of them
counting.
There's just about okay, I'd say about like 10 of them are jade. Say like 4 are gold. I'd say there's some that look to be straw. About like 20 of those. What are we at?
We're currently at 36 if you were adding them all up.
Okay. Then let's see. I think it looks like
Or subtracting them, rather.
Yeah, it looks like a sandstone for 2 of these, and then 2 more of lead, and then the rest seem to be some sort of a like bundled straw. I don't know. How much is it add up to your thing?
And Lumièra just stares at it. She hears your question, but you can tell she's trying not to actually acknowledge. I'm not 100% sure if you have anything that could equate to this. And her eyes drop to the bowl containing the gold. Do you have anything that is of the equivalence of 8 years? 8 years of your life, your sacrifice, your loss?
Seems like yours is time and mine is folks.
Mine is always time. It's always time.
Well, to me, time isn't quite as precious since I've got a lot of it, And I think these folks here, and I kind of gesture vaguely towards the little figurines, their time was very, very precious to them too. They weren't willing to give it up. So they resisted the call, and that's what led to them devouring each other.
Lumièra, that's new information.
Yeah, it is.
Started feasting on each other's time.
Feasting on their time.
Well, each other. I think they thought that if they, eat the whole thing, then they get to swallow all the rest of the time and power and things that they'd have to give up if they followed Misty's call. I mean, really, do you blame me for wanting to leave them behind? Well, you as someone who doesn't have infinity time, I imagine that time would be quite precious to you. And I mean, even listen to me, the way that I talk about these folks seems like it wouldn't equal that 8-year goo you got over there.
Lumièra, when you look at the figurines in the Great Sage's plate, you don't recognize any of these gods. Not even the Emperor is here. These bundles of straw, the jade, the lead, these gods, you've not seen their faces in the City of Heaven, and you've been to the Dreaming City multiple times at this point. These gods seem to predate. Hello, Babao. That's my cat.
Babao was
Here
also
he
a
is.
god.
Babao is Babao heard
Showing
God
cat.
and said you rang.
Yeah.
He truly is a little he succubus. Go on, get Babao. Anyway. These gods seem to predate the current era, and marrying that with what Ching is saying, they seem to be maybe even an equivalent in age to Ching, who seems to remember the time before the devouring.
Always squabbling. If it wasn't one thing, it was another. If it wasn't, I need more power. I gotta, own this plane and everything. It was something else. It was, Ching, you didn't come to the right party. Really exhausting.
You are so interesting.
Why, thank you. I've taken quite a shine to you myself. Don't get me wrong. Not the kind of shine that your friend seems to take it to you. But
I'm sorry. What?
Hmm?
Which friend? Who are you speaking of?
What's that? Eh?
You said my friend. A liking to me?
Yeah, you came here with a bunch of friends.
Yeah.
The ones that aren't here right now. I don't know what you're. I don't know what
They're
you're so
my
confused
teammates.
about. I thought you were the smart one.
I am. Or so I thought. And
Well.
Lumièra looks so befuddled, so flabbergasted, just like almost unsteady on her feet. Like that, like knocked her over a bit.
Listen, hun, when you get to my age, I may have all the time in the world, but, I ain't got the time, if you know what I mean. This kind of... well, in any event, let's do some addition and subtraction, shall we?
Ching, as you turn your eyes to the scale and focus on it, similar to how you'd focused on the gourd, certain details about Lumièra's trial, this is undeniable at this point, begin to come to light. There is something about the fact that they're scales and not just offering bowls that rings to you. They have to be balanced. Maybe what's been offered isn't enough? Perhaps you should put things in or take things out or try to balance the scales somehow to unlock that barrier and achieve your goal.
Alright, well, I take out some of the heavier ones, the lead figurines, and see if anything moves.
Sure, if you are just reaching forward with the intention of trying things out, with a kind of curiosity, a logistical mind, you pick up the lead and nothing changes. The barrier is still in place.
Alright, seems like we've gotta, guess at this. We don't get any sort of a balancing act. My guess is that you've given up a lot more with your limited time than I have with my, the gods that went on to oblivion and salvation. Gotta give something else up. Well,
May I speak freely, Ching?
Well, always, yes. It's you don't got a lot of time, youngin'. You gotta always speak freely.
What if I were to tell you that time is not a problem for me?
Well, I'd say that's very cryptic.
I heal. That is my calling. That is what I do. But time moves for me, within me, and around me. Different. Much more different than my friends. And this entire time, she's had her left hand deep in the in the pocket of her cloak. You've never seen her pull her hand out of her pocket. It's been there the entire time you've met her. And she pulls her hand out and reaches up her cloak, and her left hand is completely gilded in the gold. It goes from her fingertips down to her elbow, practically. This was because of this, I think. And she points to the bowl. What weighs more than time? How does one equate that? What physical manifestation of anything can equate to time?
Well, I'd say that it's all, it's relative, and, now that you've, finally said something about it, I mean, it seems like, your chrono fuckery means that it's not quite as precious to you as, it would appear, as you would let others believe. So, if time itself isn't as, it's a little more fluid, if you will, for you, then I think perhaps you have to give something up that's different than time. Mine was, connections, and some dubious ones at that, but connections.
Ching, as you speak, and as your eyes settle on Lumièra's gold-tipped fingers, naturally your gaze would travel across this time mage's repertoire, and you notice, she doesn't really have feet anymore. Her feet have faded, and she is continuing to fade upward the longer the two of you spend in this trial. You notice you don't really have feet anymore. You don't have robes at the bottoms of the hems. It's fading upward, slowly, so slowly, painlessly this entire time, but inextricably, like a single droplet of water hewing away at a timeless boulder. Ching, if you would like, you can gaze into the mist to try to see what the hell is happening here.
Oh, absolutely.
Excellent. So when you gaze into the mist, for answers or signs, roll 2d6 plus tags.
Okay. I would say attuned, of course, and intimately familiar with the mist, of course. And, I see too much, but I've also seen it all. So, yeah, I think.
That's a +4, yes?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so let's say you're looking for the answer to what the heck is happening to the two of you in this moment. So go for it.
Nope. Oh boy.
Mandate.
Carefully. All right. 7.
Okay. Okay, 7 plus 4. That's an 11. That is a full hit. On a 10 plus, the mist shows you lucid visions and a clear path forward. So, Ching, the truth about what's happening here strikes you with crystal clarity, just as it had stricken you back on Tiandu Feng. You realize in this moment that it's not even really about giving or taking from the scale, because the trial is the fact that both of you have already given too much. No matter how much you give in service of what you seek, no matter how much you tithe, that barrier will not lift, even if you pour every single ounce of your soul into these offering bowls, because balancing the scales doesn't mean pouring endless sacrifice. Balancing the scales means stopping, resting, so you can see things clearly, so you can realize when what you're doing is hurting you. This is the truth that you, and in particular Lumièra, has been hiding from, that both of you have already given too much. The price, in so many ways, has not been worth it. And with a 10 plus, I'll also give you this. As your eyes fall on those gold-tipped fingers, you see this focused mage, you see this ambitious cultivator, this overworked child who has tithed too much of herself for a power she has not stopped to think about, because she wants to keep moving. She needs to keep moving because she thinks rest is death, but true death is what she's tithing. She's making the exact same mistakes that you've already made, Ching. And if she keeps giving and giving and giving and giving, then she will end up exactly like you, alone.
I've got an idea. So I'm gonna take that. So I take my plate and I shuffle on over to where she is. I start as I ruffle around in my beard and I pull out the decanter. And I pop it open.
I definitely don't need any more.
Pour it into your bowl, and I put the cork back in, stick it back in my beard, and then I start taking the little figurines out of mine and stashing them away in my beard, and I say, "Hey, well, here, hang on," and I I finish putting all the figurines away, and I put some more of, well, this time I have a little canteen of tea, and I put that one in mine, and I say, "Bottoms up." You need some of that time back.
Lumièra looks so just completely confused and kerfluffled, honestly. No.
Yes, take some time. It seems like you got a lot more of it, and you've been spending it in a way that you really didn't need to.
I genuinely appreciate your concern, but respectfully...
Oh, hon, I just met you. I'm not concerned about you. I'm just calling it like I sees it.
Will forgive my adjective, but I will not. I have something that can truly make things different. That's my calling. Mine, and mine alone. More time to fix whatever is broken, whatever has been done. That is what I am here for. That is what I push for. Have you ever lost someone that was everything to you? Everything. And thinking you had all the time in the world to figure it out. only to have that snatched from you? Do you know what type of hole that leaves in a person? Resting means I feel it. All of it. No reprieve. I won't. Especially when I know I can fix it.
Well, you know what they say about time and healing, which is what, according to you, you're very good at. Maybe they don't have that saying anymore. I've been up here a long time.
They do.
Okay.
I used to believe it. But time keeps going on. Time keeps passing, and it doesn't get better. It doesn't hurt less.
How long has it been then?
What does it matter?
Well, I mean, just how long has it been? Oh, we're talking like 1,000, 2,000.
No. Actually, it's still fresh. And she wipes her face quickly. It's still fresh.
Okay, well, so it seems like you gotta give that whole time and healing thing a shot first before you poo-poo it. And it can't just be kind of like a cursory exploration of those two things. It's gotta be a genuine commitment to it.
I don't do anything half-ass.
Well, it
I
seems
never
like
have.
you've been doing that in terms of taking time for yourself and from taking time for yourself and attempting to heal.
I have a question for you.
Hmm.
It seems so easy when you speak it. You say take time for yourself. Sit in it. But what do you do when it hurts so bad you can't breathe? You can't sit still? Every second feels like I was the one that took that lance. Like my heart was ripped from my chest and just hit the ground.
Well, if it hurts to breathe, you gotta take it one breath at a time. And as for the rest of it, I feel like your friends would help out with that. Unless we're talking about physically, it's just, physically hard. You're hurt. Because
They
it's
have
just,
their own things. That was Seir's twin. That was his sister. Xainan. We know what he deals with, and Sing was just reopening that wound all over again. How do you look how do I look my teammates in the face and I see how much they hurt? I can only help so much. This is a lot.
Well, if you can help so much, that's still helping. Right?
And
That's
Lumièra, the bowl full of your own years, now mixed with that horrible, horrible spirit, in Ching's hands that they've proffered to you. It rings up to you. A voice rings out from the gold, from the liquid. The drifter's voice. Cloaked in static, cloaked in shadow. You're not sure if this is actually the drifter or just your subconscious version of the drifter, but it sparks out like black lightning and it says, "Ugh, enough! You can't stop what happened to Sing from happening again. You can't support Xainan. You can't support Seir if you're exhausted or if you're dead. So you need to take care of yourself before you can tear this shit apart." And then, softer, more gentle. "You can't save anyone if you're gone. Now drink."
And Lumièra wipes her face, her tears glimmering against her gilded fingertips, before she takes the bowl and, with one last look at you, Ching-Chi, bottoms up, I guess, and will put the bowl to her lips and drink the gold.
And Lumièra, drinking the gold mixed with this sweet, hot, burning spirit, you don't gain those 8 years back, but you do gain something you haven't felt in 2.5 months. Rest. And the mist swirls up out of nowhere. The shrine collapses into fog and then rises again, consuming both of you, and it becomes a dense forest. The mist becomes a sandstorm. The mist becomes a world that fades into memory without anyone left to mourn it. The mist becomes a song. Above the journey, the mist becomes the earth underfoot. The mist becomes a dead garden around both of you. And you walk through it. The trees have desiccated husks. The grass is frail and gray. Skeletal vines crawl over cracked beds of lifeless flowers, their petals long drained of color, their pollen long crumbled into dust. The two of you are, of course, Xainan and Ching. Xainan, the great sage, walks beside you. Great sage Xainan walks beside you. Your steps fall on a beaten path, winding between crooked trees with bare branches and thorny briars that promise only pain if you touch them. The path curves into the darkness of crumbled vines until it bleeds out of sight, leading somewhere. Maybe the way out, if you were an optimist. The two of you, and the two of you alone, find yourselves mid-walk through this dead garden.
Huh. Hi.
So have you found that stretching or doing like very slow martial arts in the morning helps out with the rest of your day?
It can. Admit I spent a bit of time outside of my body recently. Where do you think we're going?
Well, my guess is to your trial. Any hidden thoughts or deep insecurities you want to lay on me now so we can kind of speed up the process?
Well, I lost my entire world. But other than that, I'm fine.
Oh boy, we're gonna be here a while.
No, it's, I think we're already... It looked a lot like this. And he scans the trees, but they're too dense. They're not quite right. The garden is too much of a garden and not a field for crops. This is, not quite it, though.
Well, what do you, what is the difference now?
Well, for one, I wasn't from a valley full of dead, well, they were eventually dead trees.
Oh, I was about to say, I mean, if this is your world that you lost, oh boy. What do you remember about the world that you lost? What were some of your favorite parts?
And at that question, a sad but true smile pulls at his tight lips. It was beautiful. Long nights. Fields, green, bright. A happy world.
Xainan, as you speak, remembering Kesuke, you get the distinct feeling that you are being followed. And so do you, Ching. Both of you get that prickly at the back of your neck sensation that you're being dogged. That there are shadows slinking in your wake just out of your peripheral vision. And not just that, you have an inkling, you know who's following you. Of course, Xainan, of course it is. It's what it's always been. It's ghosts. For you too, Ching. Ghosts. Ghosts of gods long devoured, ghosts of gods you used to know, ghosts of gods who might still exist, might still be alive, but you've not seen in centuries. As for you, Xainan, you know their names. I don't have to say them right now.
Xainan can feel the hairs on the back of his neck all stand up, and he tenses, the smile vanishing off of his face. You feel that?
What do you say, we do a fastball special?
I get the feeling they would catch wise real fast.
Alright, well, keep on walking then.
Yeah. And this time his hand vanishes at his side and rests on the quiver of arrows and the bow that sit right there. He can't fight ghosts. In fact, the people that he knows are following him, he would never shoot. Unless they needed it for a job or something, but that wasn't this. This was a stroll.
Anyone back there you, got any grief with still, or anything you want to say while we got the opportunity?
Nothing I haven't already said. This just keeps happening. They won't leave me be. Especially here.
Well, I happen to know there's no such thing as ghosts once past a certain point, so that means that they're all up there. You ever talk to them?
Not often enough.
Well, shall we? Alright,
and he
down.
He kind of stops, straightens up, but keeps stepping. No, I don't think that's gonna make him go. They just, no matter what I do, they always turn up again.
As the two of you continue to walk, slowly bleeding into your conversation, you notice patterns beginning to form in the nature around you, up in the sky, the darkened sky above your heads, mottled with constellations, swirling from the whorls of tree bark, scrawled from messy loops of thorny vines, etched into stone, carved against the dirt. Not just patterns, messages. A single message repeating in an interlaced fractal. Look back, with love on your tongue and pain in your teeth. Over and over and over again. The sky is singing it to you. The soil is groaning a dirge. The tree bark beckons.
I guess you really are the wise sage around here, aren't you?
Well, I'm kind of the only sage around here, I'll be honest.
I do talk to them.
Is it nice? Do they talk back?
More like scream.
It's,
Do you know what wind sounds like when it consumes an entire plane of existence? Blots out the stars. That's what I hear.
well, we're in the special mist trials. So, what do you think? Maybe they might say something different other than foo. You know that one. You're of an age where you might know that one.
And he stops walking finally. What would you say?
Well, I probably would apologize for, being so standoffish and impatient, and for, that one time that I went into the town square and gave everybody a good stern talking to about how they were, well, I don't want to use that kind of language here, but I think that no matter what conversation happens, that it's always a lot better over a nice pot of tea. So I go over to a rock near an old decrepit tree, and I start pulling out different items from my beard. Miniature, warmer and a tea kettle and a bunch of cups and a large square of cloth that I lay out next to the rock. Here.
You just have all that?
Well, you don't? Well, when you
He
get to
pats
my
himself down.
Well, when you get to my age, you'll know how useful it is to always have some tea on you. I start setting this up, and I hand you a bunch of like a tray of cups. And I say, okay, start laying those out there on the blanket.
All right. And he
busy
doesn't
myself.
ever fully turn around. He keeps his back behind him still, but he just cuts a small glance behind him as he moves and sets down the cups.
As you cut that glance, you see something shimmering on your periphery. It is a cherry blossom, perfectly pink. The only spot of color in this desiccated garden flits past your head behind your field of view.
There's so many things I didn't say before. It feels hollow to start now.
Listen, the best time to say something was yesterday. The second best time to say something is right now. So, I don't know. Do you think ghosts like caffeine or non-caffeine? I'd say since they're already asleep, perhaps something. Let's do some nice rooibos. Start preparing the tea. Well, go on. Oh, wait, not yet. And I start pulling out sweets. It's you know this one? The Hana Ikata? Little, the flower and the raft going up to heaven. It's all wrapped around. It's like very, very elaborate. It takes a long time to make. I made a bunch of them for just such an occasion.
You just make these?
gotten quite good at them. It was these, I'd say about 200 years ago, I think. I spent a good couple of years perfecting my recipe.
There's an old couple in town that used to make them.
Ah, well then they'd know that the trick is, being patient with the sticky stuff. Otherwise it gets all over and you can't control it. Got patience.
Work it
Set
nice
out
and slow.
different sweets. All right.
I haven't thought about that in so long. I should have told every single one of them.
Well, there's quite a lot of cups there you got. Lay out enough of them for all of them. A lot of the sweets left.
And he doesn't set down the sweet that you handed him. He looks it over, the care, the time that goes into it. And he stops putting down cups. And he turns around and holds it out. I should have said 1,000 times how much I needed every single one of them. That I'm sorry.
Xainan, as you turn, it is exactly as the messages have bid you to do. It is with love on your tongue, and it is with pain in your teeth. And as you turn, Ching, you see it too. The garden blooms. Infinite colors explode from dry earth, infinite constellations of life branching outward, trees teeming with emerald leaves, flowers spiraling from desiccated thorns, soil swelling with life-giving water. Oh, and the people. Xainan, you see your parents, you see Dom, you see Piera, you see Azalis, Doxa, you see Sing. Ching, what ghosts do you see?
I wasn't always closed off to companionship, and I think that there's plenty of gods from the city that have since gone on to oblivion, or that have, I don't know, according to these young folks, just up and vanished. But, yeah, lots of folks I hadn't thought of in quite a few years. Quite a few hundred years.
There's the person you're in debt to. There's the person who owes you. There's the person that you might have been something with. There's the person you almost considered a child of sorts. And there's the Emperor, too, just out of focus. All of these ghosts are right here in the garden with the two of you. Their forms are shimmering and immaterial, like a dream within a dream, but they are here. They've always been here. Their presence, their memory is a dagger in your heart. Yes, it is a pain in your teeth, but it is also a gesture of connection, a haunting of love, brimming on your tongue. And the pain. Oh, the pain. I am so sorry, Xainan and Ching, but the pain that hits you in this moment as you turn around, it is immense. It is almost unbearable for a ghost, for a mortal, for a god to feel. It is the worst thing either of you have ever experienced, and that is an ontological truth of the multiverse. It brings you to your knees. It makes you beg for mercy in tongues you could not speak until this point. It reminds you of everything, everyone you have ever loved and lost, who you might ever get to love and will lose. So why, Xainan? Why do you, in this moment of incandescent suffering, why do you thank it?
His knees try and buckle. He's done that. He did it in the Wild Sea. He did it on Kaseki. But there is a calling deep inside of him to survive. No matter what the journey puts on him, surviving isn't sitting still, and he forgot that. And he feels that pain, and he remembers it stopped him once. The fear of feeling it, but now that he's feeling it, why would he sit still? They're right there, and it agonizingly, like stepping into the stab of a blade, welcomes the pain as he steps towards all of them.
Xainan, you impale yourself upon your own heart as you step forward and you address the ghosts.
I miss you all every day. But you're always with me. And he looks to sing. Finally looks at her. Not Seir impersonating her. Not some statue that he hasn't even seen yet. You were perfect. You are. He looks to his family. This family that sits on him like the hat that he wears, like the dust in his bones. Never leave me. I'm sorry I left you. I'm sorry. And he falls to his knees finally right in front of Doxa, not out of the weight, but because she's there.
The ghosts come forward, Xainan. And you know this to be true. They've never left you. Never. Oh, and the pain, this pain you feel, the tears that brim in your eyes, you know it. It is worth it. All of it, it's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it. It just is. And that is the truth you have been hiding from. Ching, what words fall from your lips in this moment?
I'm not gonna say I told you so. But, well, I did. But I wish you had all listened. But these youngins and I are gonna make things right. And for those of you who did listen, well, good job. I hope you're home.
The ghosts of the gods you knew, the gods who were taken, the gods who started the devouring, and the gods who were devoured. They look at you. They look at you with eyes you haven't seen in over 1,000 years. They look at you in this mist space, in this veil of dreams from beyond the pale of oblivion and salvation, and they see you. And they nod. And you feel the weight of that nod. And the least immaterial of them, the least shimmering of them, is the Emperor. Lungdu, the one ghost that is not quite a ghost, not yet, still here. And that promise that falls from your lips that you and the youngins are gonna do something different, This version of the Emperor looks you right in the eyes, and you know she's going to keep you to that promise. The mist thickens around this trial. It sweeps away the pink blooms, the flowering trees, the vines with thorns, yes, but also with flowers, with pain and with love, spiraling up, up, up until the mist rises and washes it all away. Before the apotheosis of Long Xie Feng, before the first god killer of the sister realms slew her sibling because it had to be done, before the devouring, before the mist turned foul, there was the equilibrium. An era of peace, an epic of harmony. The river, before it was known as the mist, flowed freely between the realms, this font of power, this lifeblood of magic, this force whence all things come and all things return. The time before is exactly as you remember it, Hop Ching. Sweeping skies of azure blue, snow-white clouds as sleek and elegant as the underbelly of cranes, pitch-black rivers moving in lazy strands on the earth below, bright vermilion fires glowing in shared hearths. This is the age you were born in. This is the age only you recall. And you see all of it now. Standing at the top of an emerald green hill, a gentle breeze, a wind, kissing your skin. It's as though the devouring never happened in the first place. And Hop Ching, you're not even old anymore. You're young. You're in your prime. You are the way you used to be, the way you almost forgot how to embody, unburdened, untethered, free. What does this version of the Great Sage look like?
Let me be very clear. Number one, I was always at heart an old man. Number two, it wasn't that great during the equilibrium. All the gods were still squabbling, there was still wars and conflict, and there was still, nothing's perfect. Heaven was never really heaven as, the mortals think about it. That's just how it is. Of course, people weren't trying to eat each other, but, still. It wasn't perfect, but it was home.
It was home. It was. And Hop Ching, you're not alone. Next to you, upon this hilltop, are the 3 cultivators and the one god who came asking about the river gourd. You see Strike Team Nova and you see Xiao Cheng. And for all of you, it's as though no time has passed at all between your trial and what's happening right now. As Xiao Cheng is whisked in through the mist along with the rest of you, they land on this emerald hilltop and look with bright, dazzled orange eyes. What is this place?
It's in the before times. The long ago, before the devouring, you call it?
Yes, this is the before. This is the equilibrium?
No.
It really existed? There really was a time before?
We didn't call it the equilibrium, we just called it, we didn't really call it anything. We just called,
That's
I think,
true. If you're in an age, I suppose you don't really call it anything, but this is amazing. Look at this, it's so peaceful. It looks so perfect.
Ish, yes. Of course, there's still, Chief Foon, was still kind of a dick, and there was so many gods that we're messing around with mortals and everything, and we're always had all these little petty squabbles with each other, and there was all these rules about who could wear what when. You weren't supposed to wear, purple past, what is it?
What's the
month
problem
of
with
the
purple?
cat. Yeah.
So
Do you miss it?
Do I miss it? I mean, well, I mean, this is the time in which I left. So, I mean, in hindsight, yes, there's plenty else I could have done during this time while they weren't eating each other. Plenty more dalliances to have been had, and a lot more could have been done. But to be honest, I think what I miss is the option that it provided, if that makes sense.
the option for what?
Well, for connection. I think that was the thing with that happened back then. Of course, there was conflict and absolute buffoonery, if you'll pardon my language, but
We can use stronger terms than buffoonery to describe the worst period of the Sister Realm's history.
yes, I mean, but I mean the buffoonery happened in the, as you call it, the equilibrium.
Yes.
But you could still connect. I think there wasn't a desperation. You know why they caused? Why the big eating happened?
Why? You know? Please
The rest
please
of
share
you,
your
anybody
knowledge.
else is a very clever one, Lumièra? No. Lumièra, any ideas? What caused it?
If
Greed.
I'm. Yeah. Not just greed, but. Power.
Fear. It was fear. See, all of us get the call of the mist. Misty comes and she says, "It's time to go home." And I think that's just the natural order of things. All things end, even gods. But
I thought-
those fuddy-duddies, yes, I said it, they didn't want to go. A god went against Misty. The mist, as you say. They didn't want to go. They were... So perhaps, yes, power, a greed for power, greed or power, but I think it mostly, just like all sort of greed and conflict, comes from fear. They didn't want to go. They were afraid of what happens after, of oblivion and salvation. I've heard the call of Misty, but we have a different kind of relationship, if you will. But one day, if she asks me to sort of settle down with her or them, that'll be my time. And
You'll
I
just
get to go
go.
home too.
Home. You really think of it that way?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not eager to go back. There's still so much to explore, and many steps of our relationship that have yet to be discovered. Which seems she saw fit to bring all of you in for a little stint here, which is fine. Actually, we didn't discuss it, but I think she understood that. Anyway,
Do you regret it?
do I regret being
Leaving? Do you regret severing? That's not a good word for that, but
Leaving.
I don't
Leaving.
regret sticking to my principles. I saw fit to go up and start my own city. One that would sort of be more in harmony with the mist and with all of its twists and turns. And I think that, the invitation was always open for the rest of them to come up. Always.
I had no idea of such an invitation. You've been around for so long, Great Sage, that... Well, the gods you issued this invitation to, were they your peers during the before times?
Yeah, peers in terms of age group, I'd say. Peers
Yes,
in terms
of
of
course.
intelligence or
Sure, of course not. Of
style
course
or
not.
all
I
of
don't mean to
that.
insult your
Yeah,
intelligence or
no,
your
no,
stature
no,
or your
no,
wisdom.
But
or
I
your
just want to
strength or
be
your...
very clear about all of that. Yes, I very, very old, even as far as gods go. I mean, as it was,
It's part of why I thought you were just a legend. The gods of the city of heaven, very few of them know you exist, even believe in the fact that a great sage might live at the peak of Tiandu Feng. I fear your invitation may have been lost to the ravages of time.
That makes sense. But I think
But
in
also-
general that they just didn't want it. You know how it is when somebody invites you and you just kind of ignore it for a while and then you forget it really happened. You've
Then you
all
get
done
bitten
it.
by a
Don't you
god.
look at me like you haven't done that before. Somebody sends you a message and you think you replied to it and then...
Do you regret giving them that distance? Do you regret not being there with them when they might have needed you?
I don't regret not being there with them, but I wish perhaps that I had followed up and maybe sent a couple more messages with the invitation. Because if they didn't remember, well, I mean, that's on them. But if they never got it, then I suppose that's on me.
And what if the devouring devoured your chances of that message? Stole your goodbyes.
I think that you youngins you have a lot of recent, fresh grief, so yeah, you might not want to hear this or not be ready for this, but closure is something you have to give to yourself. And I've had 1,000 years, and sure, that's just a blink of an eye, but I do my thinking pretty fast. And the thinking that I did has convinced me that I made my mistakes. And if there's a chance, like working with you young folks to make things right, then I'll do that. But you gotta let it go, or it'll consume you. Just like the great eating did with the rest of them. You gotta let it go. Whether that's your grief, well, not your grief, you can always keep that with you a little bit if you'd like as a treat, but whether that's your guilt or your single-minded determination to save the world on your own, or your sort of need to push down the grief. You gotta give yourself closure for that.
And Ching, as these words tumble from your lips, you realize why Misty did this. That rascal, why Misty pulled you into the gourd with the rest of them, pulled you along to each of their trials, put them through a trial in addition to Xiao Cheng. It was to give you this opportunity. The opportunity, Ching, to look at the before times, to look at this place that lives only in your memory, and to, if you're ready, if you choose to, say a proper goodbye. So you can move forward and find that community, find that future worth fighting for, even if it means handing the torch to the youngins.
Well, I think that these young folks after going through all their boo-hooing and such, might be ready to take up that torch. What do you say?
I have never felt more ready for a challenge.
You'll rise to any challenge.
True.
Is
But,
it so bad? Being afraid?
Oh, that reminds you what keeps you. In some ways, it reminds you that you're alive. So, well.
Then I've been alive this whole time. I think I'm ready.
Right. You
I
heard
think
him,
I'm
Misty.
with you, Seir.
Thank you. Glad you all came up to my place for a drink.
Precious water.
I want to thank you. Genuinely. I hid for a while. And you've helped me see. I'm usually a lot more articulate than this.
You really don't have to impress me. That's fine. I like you quite fine the way you are. I appreciate it. I can see it all in your face. Yeah.
Lumièra curtsies, bows again, great respect.
What do you say? Should we open up this gourd?
Yes, I'm more than ready. Should
You ready for
perhaps-
this world to meet the other one?
I've been waiting for the past week, though it feels much longer than that, for me to be able to undo my mistake. And I think I'm finally ready to shoulder what that actually means. So-
Alone
Being afraid is not a mistake. You
is
didn't
where your
make a
strength
mistake.
lies.
Thank you.
You won't carry this burden alone. We're all here to help you carry it.
And there's about to be
I
a
know
lot
that
more
now.
people here.
A lot
Yes,
more.
several thousand to be exact, over 10,000, but that aside,
Oh, that's too many.
it's a lot of people. Actually, Hop Ching, there's something I wanted to say to you. I know I'm rather, multitudinous with my
Anxious?
words. I'll pare it down. I'll keep it quick. I'll misnote it. I just wanted to say, thank you. I know it couldn't have been easy for you to experience what you did alongside the rest of us, and I am eternally grateful to you for your assistance and for your openness and vulnerability. I came here half expecting no one, and half expecting an ancient god more powerful and incomprehensible than my imagination could offer, so it was really nice to get to know you. The real you, not the you I built up in my head and had fantasies about, but you. And I hope that one day you'll come down to say hi. Not fantasies like that. Just don't give those looks.
Because
No,
I'm flattered, but I.
no.
I don't
More
think,
just,
you know,
more just like I thought you were going to be a really cool teacher figure, and we could go on adventures together. Don't think about that too hard. Anyway, I do hope that one day you'll be able to come down from your peak to the city of heaven, say hello, because you will always have a home in the city of heaven
Well, that's
whenever
very-
you're ready.
That's very kind of you, but you might have to send me a couple of messages up about what I have to wear after the year after the year of the cat or something like that. So until then, you can always find me up here.
Oh,
Ching.
we stopped using the cat calendar like 500 years
What?
ago. Yeah, but I can fill you in after we come back.
Ching, don't let ceremony stop you from talking to people before they're ghosts. Thank you. Tea with the living.
All right. Hey, Misty.
And Misty comes. Misty thickens around your party, becoming denser and denser and denser and denser until it fills your subconscious, fills your waking thoughts, fills you with nothing but mist and dreams and subconscious, and whoosh, the mist clears, and you are not in the time before, or the dead garden, or the scales of sacrifice, or the forest of names, or the hall of peerless destiny. You are back in Tiandu Shrine, back on the summit of Celestial Peak, as though you never ventured into the trials of the mist in the first place. But time has certainly passed. The sun is kissing the horizon in the other direction. Dusk is spilling across the skyline, bleeding purples and reds and deep golden blues. The shadows of the temple are growing long, and the companions you left behind are seated at the base of a cracked wooden pillar. And as soon as the mist unfurls around your party, Yinghe rises to their feet, and Goose ruffles his feathers and lets out a distressed but rather relieved honk, and the five of you return to the waking realm. And as you do, Xiao Cheng stumbles out of this mist, and we see that they are holding the gourd in their hands, and all of you know that the gourd is ready. It's time. So what final image of each of you are we left with before Xiao Cheng uncorks the gourd? Let's start with Lumièra.
The final image we see of Lumièra, she finally looks rested, or as rested as she can be in this moment. Her back is stoic. She has that same mask that we've always seen, her fingers steepled together, not hiding her gold hand anymore, but looks deep in thought. And she glances over at Xainan and smiles, and over at Seir and grins. Grins like you haven't seen her in so long. And just like in battle formation, Lumièra will step back and be your inverted point, your triangle. One, again with her team. She smiles.
And what about you, Seir?
Seir meets your grin, and there's a soft smile that radiates off of his face. And he maintains your gaze, following you, looking you up and down, not missing a beat. And as he pans his gaze away from you onto Xainan, he nods seriously, and he takes his own position within the Strike Team Nova triangle at the tip, hand on his hilt of the crescent blades. As he smiles forward, the brother returned. The boy is back.
And we pan over to Xainan.
Xainan catches the smile from the woman that he didn't look too closely at because it hurt too much. But this smile radiates, and there she is. A thought for later. Seir, actually Seir, the hunter, the fighter. There he is. But Xainan holds his hand close to his chest, having looked over the beautiful city, and tenderly, like he was holding a sweet, fondly for a young woman that he cared so very much about. In his hand, he holds a cherry blossom and he smiles, because she's there. And he
finally
steps to the side, ready.
And finally, Hop Ching.
certain peace and tranquility to those that have age and wisdom. But I think that now there's a little more sharpness to it. You know, not everything has to be peaceful for it to be necessary and effective. In fact, I think these young folks have taught me that perhaps it's better not to be quite as peaceful and complacent.
And on these looks on each of your faces of a spark of resolution, of acceptance, of grief, of love, we watch as Xiaocheng carefully, tenderly reaches for the stopper of the gourd and uncorks it. And the cap releases with no resistance at all. And then the mist is freed, and with it, all the gods of the city of heaven. And we're gonna end the session there. Thank you all so much for tuning into this very special charity guest stream featuring Erika Ishii! Speaking of which, let's do a quick round of introductions. Erika!
Hi, thank you so much for letting me be part of this. This was wonderful, and what a fantastic cause. And thank you to everybody who's been watching and donating and sharing and just being so lovely in chat. You can find me at Erika Ishii or at the Erika Ishii, depending on the platform. Worlds Beyond Number is my podcast with Brendan Lee Mulligan, Abria Iyengar, and Lou Wilson. Dimension 20 and Dropout, I'm all over there. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us for this very special stream. We love The Great Sage. I'm obsessed with The Great Sage. I'm obsessed with Hop Ching. The grandfather I never knew I needed. Valiant Dorian.
Hello, everybody. I'm Valiant Dorian. I use he, him, his pronouns. You can find me all on the internet at Valiant Dorian. And also, Spirit Bear, please enjoy that lovely treasure I just set you on. And tonight, the distinct pleasure of playing your brother, Seir. Uses he, they pronouns. Thank you, Hop Ching, for being the grandfather Seir never had. And I'm going to pass it to the pop-up of the hour. Xainan?
I'm Kai. I play the pop-up of the hour. You can find me all over the internet as Estelle of Imladris, on practically everywhere. And I have had the deepest and sincerest pleasure of playing Mr. Xainan-ish tonight. Against Erika, who is apparently playing my actual grandfather for most of this.
Terribly sorry to everybody. If you felt called out by this character, you might be entitled to compensation.
I already tried the compensation arc, Erika. Connie denies me every time.
Denying it.
Denied.
Yeah.
Denies me
Claim
every
denied.
time. There's no such thing as compensation here. It's just hurt.
Sam, take us away.
Well, I guess I will go on ahead and wrap it up for the cast. I'm Sam. I use she, they, and the occasional they pronouns. I played Lumièra, she, her. You can catch me all across the interwebs, across multiple platforms at Lust for Life X, LUSTTFORLIFEEX. And I'm going to pass it along to the boss to close us out.
It's a me, the boss, to close us out. We've hit our goal, so thank you, everyone. Our final stretch goal of $17.50 and 88 cents. Very auspicious number, so thank you all so much. We're dropping the Chaos EP. We're dropping a Goose one-shot. And just, again, thank you all so much for your incredible contributions. This work means the world to me as a non-colonial, anti-Orientalist game master and artist. And thank you, Erika. Again, thank you so much for joining us tonight and gifting us the gift of your attention, your presence, and your heart. And this is going to live on as one of my favorite Chaos episodes of all time. I'm just calling it.
Accurate. I'm going to second that
Fully
notion
yes.
on that for sure, 100%.
Absolutely.
Happy to be
this was
here.
amazing. I'm just gonna be squealing about this for the rest of the time. So before we head out, some quick housekeeping so my producer doesn't launch themselves through the screen and grapple me. We will be offline next week, March 30th, for a well-earned rest. March 28th, 2 days before that, is my birthday, Aries season. Respect the ram. So stay tuned for some exciting God Killer announcements dropping on socials. And on April 1st, April Fool's Day, we will be hosting an actually styled trivia game night right here on Transplanar RPG because we love our Dropout content, time yet to be announced. So get to studying the recap document, because you're going to be facing off against our dramaturg fact checker with a chance to win it all. And by all, I mean extreme bragging rights. Finally, last item of business, we will be participating in Big Bad Con Online this year on April 6th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with a panel called Love Persevering, Exploring Grief Through Performance. Very us. Big Bad Online is a free online convention, so make sure you sign up and stay tuned if you'd like to learn more about why we make the kind of work that we do. And that's it for now, I promise you. We love you, Transplaners. Thank you all so much again for the stream and for giving your attention and your time and your money. We'll see you next time. Bijo, bijo.